What's going on, everyone? Anthony here. Thanks for listening. On today's show, we have a really great conversation with Abbie Jakubovic. He's a benefits consultant at Mercer and a father of five. Five kids. I thought one was tough. He's got the record right now. If anyone wants to come in with six kids, let me know. You can hold the record. Maybe we'll make a belt for you. But this is a really great episode. We talk about making sacrifices, the importance of math, the pros and cons of working from home, a whole lot more. I appreciate you listening. Let me know what you think about the episode. If you would click the follow button and leave me a rating, that would really mean the world to me. It's the best way to help grow the podcast. Anyway, on to the show. Welcome back to the Successful Working Parents podcast, the podcast where we talk to successful working parents. My guest today, he is a health and benefits consultant at Mercer. He is a former geometry teacher and a father of five. He has the record right now of guests on the show with the most kids. Ladies and gentlemen, Abbie Jakubovic. Abbie, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. Very cool to be a record holder. A lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll have to get you a little plaque or something until someone comes up with six. So before we get into that, we'll have to just hear a real quick background on your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've been, I started out on the actuarial track. I was planning on taking all the exams and becoming an actuary. I got my first job, an internship coming out of my junior year in college. I liked it. I came back full time and eventually pivoted a little bit. I stopped taking exams, but I still do very similar work to how I started out. So I guess you could say I play actuary. I work with them, though I am not one.
And now you work at Mercer, which is a very large firm. How would you describe what Mercer does?
So we do a lot of things. I'm, specifically in our health and benefits practice, but my clients, are CHROs, directors of benefits. They are, designing benefit plans for all of their employees, ranging anywhere from 200 employees up to thousands of employees. And, I'm helping work with them on strategy to manage costs, give the best benefits to their employees at a cost that doesn't break the bank.
So tell us a little bit more about your role as dad.
I roll as dad, so I'm a dad of five. Get a little bit crazy at times, but it's a lot of fun. We live in Riverdale, New York. My kids are all below the age of 10. I've been married for 10 years. We basically have kids now, almost 9, 7, 5, almost 3, and almost 11-month-old.
So you don't see that every day, especially in our generation. I think you don't see as many families of five or five kids. How do you manage all that? Has it gotten more hectic with each kid? I've heard that sometimes after the second one, each one is only marginally more stressful and more work. So how has it been with five?
I think 2 to 3 is that's like the breaking point. Like you really notice the difference between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point, it's just one more. The oldest gets old enough to take care of the youngest, and you kind of just move with the punches. It's I would say less common nowadays, but I don't think it's that uncommon in the community in which I live. My wife comes from a family of 6. I come from a family of 4.
Okay.
So I like to say 5 is a nice average.
Yeah, you might as well split the difference, right? Do you feel like your background in mathematics and actuary sciences has informed the way that you're a parent in any way?
In mathematics, I think very mathematically, so I don't know if that's the best way of thinking in terms of human beings. But yeah, I guess it's just the way my mind is wired. You know what I find surprising? I'm not very good at math homework.
Really?
Yeah. I know. I look at elementary school math and I'm like, I don't get it.
They've changed it. They've definitely changed it a lot since we were in school. There's different ways of doing division now, which I don't understand, and so and multiplication as well.
Yeah, I think my daughter prefers my wife helping over me.
Does that bum you out as a math expert?
No, I think it'll change once it's like high school math.
Yeah. Once she gets into the calculus, then she'll come looking for Abbie. What about the other way? I'm curious. Like, how have you approached your career any differently after becoming a father?
I think so. A part of the decision to stop taking exams was, having a family. I realized that you really need those Sunday afternoons back to spend time with the family. And I don't think I could have been focused as a good father if I was spending my nights, weekends just studying, trying to crunch out exam after exam.
Sure.
It just got to the breaking point where I just didn't think I could do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we talked to a lot of people who have made different sacrifices and just had to make different compromises for their career. And I mean, it sounds like this was not a hard decision to make, and one that's worked out for you for the best.
Yeah, I actually listened to one of your recent podcasts. I don't remember the name of the person that was on, and I like the way she framed it. She said, "It's not really a sacrifice. It was what I wanted to do."
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I I think she was saying that in terms of how quickly she was able to advance in her career,
Hmm.
and maybe if she would have, only focused on her career, she would have gotten through faster to the point where she was. But it wasn't a sacrifice because it was a conscious decision.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that was
So,
Teresa.
yeah, I think that resonated with me a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be shaped as a sacrifice or be framed as a sacrifice, right? It could be something that you want to do, and it's adding value to your life, right? You'd rather spend time with your kids than pursue that career. So I don't think it necessarily has to be a bad thing. So with 5 kids, I do imagine you're busy. Do you carve out any time for yourself? Like, do you actually have any time to do any hobbies or even hit the gym or take a walk or anything?
Time? What's that? No,
So not really.
I do have. I've tried to pick up. I've tried to come back to hobbies that I used to have. I mean, you can see behind me, I've got some guitars on the wall.
Yeah.
So I used to play daily, like when I was, in high school, and right after. I was playing all the time. Moved to New York. I'm originally from Toronto, so my guitars were in my parents' house for the last 10 years or so. So they finally brought them down here and said, "Here you go. We don't need these in our basement anymore." I figured if I hang them on the wall, there's more of a chance I'll come back to it. And I do enjoy sitting back, decompressing, and just playing some music.
As your kids are getting older, your oldest one is 9. Do you think about how they see your career or the way you approach work and your relationship to working?
It makes me really curious. Like, how, I don't think they understand what I do, and I've tried to explain it. And they've gone from I talk to people on the computer to I do math.
Okay.
Um, I
Both
think
both not wrong.
both not wrong, but if you ask me to like define what I do, yeah, they are things that I do. I mean, I'm sure that some of their friends, if you ask them what their parents do, they'll probably say things like they go to the office. That's the end
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
I definitely know people that way. I don't know what they do.
And do you think about as they get older, just like how they see the way that you are going to approach your career and the way that just treat your work life and your family life?
Yeah, you know what I'd love to do? Somebody told me, someone that, a colleague told me that he once brought his son into work for a day. I think he had him do some sort of a project where he had to join him in work, sit in a client meeting, interview a bunch of colleagues, and then write a report on what he learned. I think that's a really cool idea. I'd like to do that one day.
Like bring your kid to work day, but
Bring
then
my
have
kid
them
to work.
report back on it.
Yeah, bring them to work, bring them to a client meeting, let them interview, I don't know, for my daughter to interview a female colleague to ask what's it
Hmm.
like to be, a woman in a corporate structure. I think that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and I think your clients would actually like that. I think it would kind of bring you closer to them and help build a little more of a relationship with them.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my dad was in, manufacturing and retail. I would hang out in his office. It was a lot of fun.
Man, my dad was a cop, so I wasn't really allowed to hang out in his office as much, but I did
Yeah,
know I did know what he was doing, so it was a pretty clear pretty clear job.
I don't think that's an office I would want to hang out in.
No, no, certainly not. What other tips do you have as a busy working parent? Like, what else would you share with others as far as things that have helped you and helped you balance the two?
Um, I think it's really about priorities. You need to set your priorities, and every day just pick what are the three most important things that you have to get done today, and there are going to be things that don't get done on the same day, and that's all right. Whether that's something at work or even housekeeping. Like maybe I'm not going to vacuum today.
Right. Do you kind of intentionally do that, like in the morning or the night before? Choose your 3 priorities for the next day.
It's usually in the morning.
Hmm.
I'd like to do it at night. Doesn't always happen.
Yeah. You write them down. You put them somewhere, or you just sort of make a mental note.
I've got lists. I've had a paper. got my to-do list. I like keeping things that I've already done on my to-do list so that I could cross them out. Makes me feel good.
Yeah, very satisfying stuff.
But yeah, lists are, really important to keeping on top of things. I don't
Hmm.
think I would. I don't think I would be able to manage without it.
By the way, you were a geometry teacher. Did you make a conscious decision to change careers at that time, or what happened there?
That was fun. I did enjoy teaching. Maybe when I'm much older and I'm ready to retire, I might retire as a teacher. A lot of my professors in college were, retired actuaries, retired. They had worked in finance and retired to be a professor. Um, I would consider doing that one day, but I never really became a geometry teacher thinking that I was going to do it as a career. It was more of a way to, you know, just pay the bills in the interim while I was getting into the actuarial track. But I knew that once I would land a job as an actuarial analyst, the teaching was done.
Yeah, I actually also have always thought about retiring as a teacher, or not retiring, but just like teaching later in life. I don't know. There's something nice about that. It also does feel like unfortunately, it's hard to like make a really successful career out of it. And that's probably why people consider doing it later after their main career. But
Yeah, I
which is a
also
whole
thought it
topic in
was it
itself.
was great for me as a student that my professors weren't just like there were strictly academic professors,
Yeah,
but to have professors teaching finance who spent decades working in finance and understood, like what happens in real time,
yeah.
uh, to study actuarial mathematics with actuaries who can tell you like this is what you need for the job. I found that really helpful.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in high school, especially, right? Most of your teachers started out as teachers, so they're teaching you geometry and calculus and algebra, and you're not really learning about how they might have used it in their lives.
Yeah, there's no real world application. It's still important to get that basis, but to then go to college and have professors who have real world experience, I think that was huge for me.
What will you say to your kids as they get older and they come across the tougher math homework and they say, "Why do I have to do this? When am I ever going to have to know how to use this?"
You know what is interesting about math? It's not about, everyone thinks it's about numbers. It's not about numbers. It's about thinking mathematically and logically. I said this to my students in geometry. The proofs are the most important part of the class because it's not about getting the right answer and putting it, penciling in that answer on your test. It's about molding the way you think about the world.
Do you feel like that's something that needs to be more clearly taught or explained? I mean, that's something that nobody ever helped me to understand when I was sitting down at the table trying to do some
I
math
wish
homework.
there was a way to, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a master's in education, so I don't think I'm going to be the one to save the world. But if we if we could have, I don't know, if anybody out there can just teach students how to think about math and not say, oh, it's this scary subject with numbers that I don't get. Come on, I can't do mental math. I use a calculator. I use Excel. You don't need to be able to multiply numbers together to be successful, but you do need to be able to think.
Well, hopefully, there's a few math teachers out there listening right now, and maybe you've inspired them to approach things a little bit differently. My wife's actually a principal of a high school. I don't know if I told you that. So
Oh,
hopefully
that's
she's
awesome.
listening. If she's listening, Cass, you can change things at Mesa at least. Any other tips or advice for a busy working parent? Any other strategies that have worked for you?
Any other strat? I mean, I love the hybrid work. Just,
Yeah.
having the ability to, if anything comes up, say, you know what, I'm going to work from home today. Um, and maybe I need to take an hour off in the afternoon to do something. But you have the flexibility to, come back to your work later when you have the time. Just that degree of flexibility. Like when you're picking a career, I think flexibility is huge. And I don't think I would have known that before I got into this. And I think the pandemic only, you know, highlighted it even more. But it's something I learned that's really valuable.
But yeah, I mean, it's been really crazy to see, or just it's been really interesting to see in the last 2 weeks since my daughter was born. It's been so beneficial to be able to work from home. I mean, not, just to even to not have the commute. It gives you 30, 45, an extra hour in the
Yeah,
morning
for me,
to
that's
help out.
2 hours back in my day. An
Right. 2 hours
an
back in your
hour
day.
there, an hour back.
Yeah, an hour you can help out, you can pitch in around the house, and so it's made a huge difference. And you're right. I mean, before COVID, I really wasn't working from home much at all. We would work from home on Fridays towards the end, or towards, I guess, in 2019 that started to become a trend. And then, after COVID, I think everybody realized, hey, we can be just as productive at home. And so that's been a huge differentiator. I couldn't imagine having to leave every day, leave at 8, 7:38, and get back at 5:36. It'd be
Yeah.
be tough.
On the other hand, I mean, too much of a good thing is not necessarily the best. Sometimes you need the commute just to like compress and have some silent time just to yourself. I
Yeah.
like I like being underground on the subway where there's no bad Wi-Fi, no phone connection. I could just read a book.
Yeah. I mean, I've met you twice in person, both times at or near your office. Are you intentionally going in? Do you guys have to go in a couple of days a week?
There's no I don't think they're coming down with a hard handle right now, but it's encouraged to be in 2 to 3 days a week. I think
Okay.
it's important for just relationship building, especially with younger colleagues. There's so many things that you have in person that you wouldn't have if you were working away. Just like let me give you one example. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert on legal topics that relate to health and benefits. If I have a question that comes up with a client that involves anything legal during the pandemic, I would have needed to schedule a Zoom meeting with someone from our legal team.
Yeah.
You're setting up a formal meeting, which for some reason everyone schedules in increments of 30 minutes or an hour, where really all you need is 2 minutes, which is just a complete waste of time. Whereas when you're in the office, you're walking by the coffee machine, you just ask a quick question, and you have your answer just like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I even back in the day, I would work in an office that wasn't the headquarters, and it was kind of a satellite office. And there's just, there's a lot of value in being able to be in a headquarters where you can talk to those other functions and not just people that do what you do.
Yeah,
And so I definitely feel that. And I have noticed that now, having started 2 jobs since the pandemic, it's hard to start a job that's fully remote. It's hard to meet people, and you're slacking. You're using Slack to message people, and your jokes don't land in the same way, and the context just isn't there, and people think you're a dick. And there's definitely a lot of value in meeting people in person, and having that connection. I think 1 to 2 days a week.
I've definitely upped my meme game.
Yeah.
I like putting memes into company emails
Yeah, I mean that's certainly been one plus, is
because
the abundance of memes.
it's difficult to put nuance into emails or let your personality come through emails. So just having a good time with it is I think important, especially in a virtual world.
I'm surprised there aren't more voice notes being sent. I think, obviously you can huddle within the Slack app, but I'm surprised people aren't just sending the voice note just to avoid exactly what we're talking about. It's just this miscommunication.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like about voice notes is you can't come back to them. Like
Yeah.
you can't find the one that you're looking for. When it,
Yeah. Or you have to skim it. If it's a 2-minute voice, you have to skim it again to find
yeah,
the bit of info you needed.
if you got text, you could just go in and search it.
Okay. We're going to move into the final segment called Abbie's Advice Corner. I'm going to ask you some advice on a few topics. You ready to go?
All right, so you're going to take advice from a totally non-qualified person.
Well, depends on the topic, my friend. Father of 5, you're qualified in some things.
I mean,
Um,
I know I'm working. I know I'm a parent. I don't know if I'm successful at either.
you're just successful in general. You're working, you're a parent, you have general success in life. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay,
In 10,
so
15 years, you can look at my kids and you can tell me if I was successful.
okay, perfect. Well, this will be a good time capsule for them. So, what advice would you give to somebody who is about to be a parent but still wants to focus on their career?
Set your priorities. Don't forget that the earliest months and years of your child's life are maybe the most important developmentally. It's going to fly really fast. Before you know it, I don't know, your kids will be 3, 4, almost 9. And you're not going to
Yeah.
get that. You're not getting that time back. There's always going to be another project at work.
Yeah. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice, career advice or
Any
parenting
advice?
advice? Okay, let me start with career advice. This was a good one. It was soon after I had started, someone told me um, at every company, every client that you're working with, you're coming in as, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, an analyst, starting out as an associate or something like that. And your client is, a CHRO, way beyond you in years in your career. And it's great that you're going to develop a relationship with somebody like that. But at the company you're working with, there's someone exactly at your level who's also starting out in his career. Build a relationship with that person because 10, 15 years down the road, he's going to be sitting in the driver's seat. She's going to be the president, VP of whatever.
Yeah,
So, build the relationships then. They'll pay fruits in the future.
I like that. What advice would you give to your former self?
Advice to my former self. Ask more questions. Ask people everything that you're curious about. Don't be afraid to talk up.
What advice would you give to a parent who is struggling with their kid who is having a hard time with their math homework or having a hard time getting interested in math?
Go into your room, close the door, and bang your head on the wall. No, don't do that. Take a step back and just remember you've gone through all your schooling. You may know the math, or maybe you don't, uh, but the child is learning it for the first time. And yes, it's difficult. And don't expect them to know it on the first time.
Final question. I now have a 2 week old daughter. I guess not even, I guess maybe 13 days. What advice do you have for me?
Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's two daughter. You said
Yeah. two
awesome.
week old daughter.
Not that I'm biased or anything, but having a daughter first is objectively the best way to do it. My eldest is a girl, and then the three boys followed, and then the
Nice.
fifth girl. Spend as much time with her as you can,
Yeah.
and cherish it.
Everybody says, I know this is a cliche, but, and then they say, it goes by fast. Everybody acknowledges it's a cliche and everybody acknowledges how true it is.
I mean, at the beginning, I don't know if your wife is exclusively breastfeeding or
Mm-hmm.
not. So at the beginning, there really isn't much that you can do,
Yeah.
besides for giving a bottle.
Yeah.
But a few months are going to go by, and then the baby becomes a lot more interactive. They start eating foods eventually, and then
Mm-hmm.
you really can be hands on all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely pitching in, but you're right. It's definitely, I've noticed there's just some downtime where there's nothing for me to do, other than provide emotional support for my wife.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Abbie, this is a great conversation. It's great to connect with you again. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about you?
You can check out my LinkedIn profile. Hit me up, message me. I'm always available to chat.
All right. I'll put the link to the show notes as well. Abbie, thank you, man. Great talking to you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. It was a lot of fun. Take care.